Well, Till is an effort that came out of 30 years. I was a close friend to Mother Mobley, Emmett Till's mother. She was my mentor and friend. And so this was something that she had tried to fight to get done when she was still with us. In fact, has taken 67 years for a film like this to be even produced. So many people have tried, but we have succeeded. And so I'm just overwhelmed about this evening that we're about to have. Like, I get emotional when I talk about Danielle because the whole purpose of this film was to resurrect my mentor and friend. And she did that. I mean, every day she walked on set and was the walking late Mamie Till Mobley. And so to have someone to portray her in the way she is in the film is truly amazing. I know it's a lot of talk about Oscar buzz. I get so excited about it, but the reality is I just want people to see this great performance that Danielle had done and be moved by the film and be moved by my shero who has, influenced my life tremendously. Being so close to the making of the film and being so close to, of course, the case itself was quite overwhelming. You mentioned Danielle, and when I think of Danielle, it makes me emotional because, as I said, I wanted to see someone to resurrect my friend and mentor, the great woman that I knew. And she was able to do that, painstakingly. It was just every day was a new day for me, a new chapter, seeing what's next and what Danielle would do next. And so, just overwhelming experience. I just don't have the right words to express this moment because it's been so hard over the years trying to keep this train moving to tell this story. I want people to take away when they see this film, I want them to understand that the civil and human rights movement still exists in this country. I also want them to truly understand the story of Emmett Till because I believe that Mother Mobley, Emmett Till's mother, had the man's blueprint to their liberation when it comes to racial progression in this country. Because racial progression has only happened through the blood and the death of the black body, and unfortunately we see that continuing today. Look, this is easy. I mean, activists who are out there, it's in their blood. I believe completely every person of color have activism in them. We're born into activism. It's up to you to turn that switch on or not. So I don't have that much to say about activists out there. They're going to do what they're going to do because only a select few could endure the pain and the struggle to bring awareness to social justice issues. And those who have chosen that in their life, they already know what the mission is. So I don't have to critique anything. I just hope that people are inspired, that more, freedom conductors are born after they see this film.
Well, Till is a film about Mamie Till Mobley and her journey in fighting for justice for her son, Emmett Till, after he was lynched in Mississippi. And so it really follows closely her evolution of activist consciousness that led her to be a catalyst for the modern American civil rights movement. I mean, Danielle's transcendent in this film, and she really channels Mamie's spirit, mind, body, and soul. Everybody is just so spectacular in this film, and really, from the cast and the crew, we all gave our all and really was working with the intention of honoring and honoring Mamie's legacy and centering her in her rightful place in history. I mean, it holds me accountable, in a much deeper way, and it's an exciting challenge, to figure out how to tell this story in a way that is rooted in honesty and truth and care. I mean, there's so much. I mean, I hope that people can think about the ways that we can get outside of our own individual bubbles and effect change that will affect the next person and I also hope that people don't lose hope, and that even though the change we might want to see doesn't happen in our lifetime, there are things that we can do to help move things forward. I would say keep pushing, and that your work it's not about everything, all the change happening in our lifetime right now, even though that would be great, but your work, even if you don't get the outcome that you want, it is part of a larger community of freedom fighters and change and advocacy. And it's a continuation of a legacy of people who've been doing this work long before us.
I wanted to come out and support the movie because, well, I'm a small part of it as well. I did the song Stand Up for it. So I'm just excited to be here and just be a part of this with the whole family. Situations like this is still happening somewhere in this world. You know, you can say the world's changed a lot, but not too much has changed. There's still a lot that needs to change. And I think we just need to remember, you know, where we came from and remember why we all are still fighting and striving happy to be a part of something, a part of history.
We had a wonderful opportunity to be on the set a few times and to see the magic of the director, the writers, and how their story came to life. The true story of Mamie Till Mobley and Emmett Till. So it's just surreal that we have this opportunity right now.
It was important for the world to see actually Mamie's story, Emmett's story to come to life. So it's very, very important for that.
Continue to stand up, speak out, amplify their voices, join up with community to help them push their message forward. And join us, the Emmett Till Legacy Foundation, because we have done a wonderful job with a lot of our ambassadors. Some of them are celebrities that are on the red carpet right now that have helped us push our message forward of justice, accountability, and truth.
Well, the film is a slice of history that's been swept under the carpet for way too long. A lot of people don't know. Between the age of 8 and 80, I've asked people about Emmett Till, and a lot of people were just like, Emmett Till, who was that? And then I tell them about the significance of who he was, and it just, you know, I can see them in their eyes and hearts. They're feeling the pain of this tragic thing that happened to this young boy. So to be able to be a part of telling this story, which is so amazing for people to be educated about, is just makes my heart proud. The experience of making this film was more than fantastic. It's like it was really a special experience. Danielle made it particularly amazing for me because most of the stuff I do is with her, and she plays my daughter, and it was just like we bonded and had an incredible synergy, and there was always just, it was as if we breathed the same air, as if we talked the same talk. I mean, there was never a moment when we were not connected. And I'm not saying a lot in this film, but I'm saying a lot with the inner strength and resolve that I'm trying to pass on to her and to help her as she moves forward. And that makes me very proud, and it makes me proud to show a figure, a black man standing by his family and going the distance if he has to, even though unfortunately it's a family that, you know, like many of our cases, there are a lot of times when the father's not around, and he hadn't been around, but he has come around. I mean, this is something that happened in 1955. And we are telling that story and telling the truth behind it. But at the same time, we are living in 2021, 22, I lost my mind. We're in 2022. And so we reveled in the joys of being a group of artists telling a story. So it was never, you can't get caught up. If you give yourself a moment to really get caught up in the tragic story of this, you could fall into a hole that you can never come out of. I want them to know that there's such a thing called love and family and compassion, and those things should never be forgotten, because those are the things that can help us move forward in our lives and to live a full life and a fully realized life. So in the film, I wanted to teach love, not hate. I wanted to teach patience. I wanted to teach understanding. But I also wanted to teach that passion of, you have to stand up for yourself. You have to stand up for your rights. You have to stand up for the things that you believe in. And sometimes you have to risk your life for the things that you actually believe in standing up for.
Well, I think that this is an incredibly important movie because, like myself and I think many others, we have this image of Emmett Till. One is the image with him and his mother as a little boy. Another is a really deformed image of the violence that was done to him when he was down south, what happened. So this, number one, fills in a story that we all need to know. So there's many other people around Emmett Till that we need to know. I play his uncle. Medgar Evers is a part of the movie, his wife as well, his grandfather, his grandmother, all these different people to show where he came from and the love that surrounded him, you know what I mean? Because like I said, we just have these images and we don't have the feeling of who he really was. We don't understand the story of how much Mamie Till loved her son. And out of that love, because this is a movie, it's a love story, and out of that love came her pursuit of justice to make sure the world could see what happened to him. So there's something, and it's historical, and it has meaning, it's formidable. This is something that we all witnessed and all went through, but we don't really fully understand. We have a memory of it. So I think this film kind of really gives you much more of an in-depth picture as to what happened, which I think we just can't forget. We have to keep it in our minds as we move forward in the pursuit of social justice. And I've said to other people, you know, probably the most difficult thing is the tragedy of this film is that it's still relevant, right? It's really relevant. So therefore, it's contemporary and we need to see it and we need to address these issues. So those are my feelings. I just felt Danielle was channeling Mamie Till Mobley. She was in touch with her she was in communion with her. So I think it lifted the whole film because everyone knew as we were working with her, opposite her or in a scene with her, that she was going to raise the level and we all needed to raise our levels as well. But I think one of the great things was whatever our imaginations were about Mamie Till Mobley, Daniela brought it to life, which then made it easier for us to work within the context of our own characters in this story. So she lifted everyone. Well, you know, you want to be right. You want to do your research and kind of get a real strong sense because you're telling a truthful story and you want to give honor and grace to the characters and the story. So for me, that was really important. So we did a lot of research. We were given a lot of research materials, and many of us did our own research as well, just so we can bring some specificity to what we were doing and some truth to what we were doing. So I think the delicacy is really certainly in the writing and in the story and in the direction and in the way in which we absorbed as performers. We absorbed all of the information and had constantly on our minds the role that we have to play in bringing this most important story to life for a new generation. The courage of fighting for social justice, I think that'd be major because Mamie Till Mobley did things that people tried to dissuade her from doing, but she was firm in her commitment out of the love that she had for her son and pursued perhaps the path less trodden, but the results of it were the civil rights movement. Perhaps me and you wouldn't be talking without some of the efforts of what Mamie Till Mobley. So I think the idea of being courageous and pursuing social justice on all forms, whether it's for the individual, for the group, for the collective, but keeping that in mind. And I think that's what we learned from Mamie Till Mobley.
Well, the film was made from the perspective of Mamie's struggle to get justice for her son. So it wasn't really about any violence that was perpetrated against Emmett or anything like that. It was much more about Mamie's decision to use this as a moment to make it something that can benefit everyone instead of just being a personal tragedy. I mean, working with Danielle was just something that she made my job easier because she was so deeply embedded in the circumstances and in this character that all I really had to do was just be there and react to what she was doing. And so she made my job very, very easy in terms of just being there for her and just being just in the presence of, you know, just great, great work. For us, the subject matter was treated with tenderness, with respect, with honor. Everyone in the cast, every single day when we were on set, really treated this whole story with the respect and the honor that it deserved. Every day we knew the history, we knew the responsibility that we had, And I think everybody from the top to the bottom conducted themselves with that spirit. What I would want the audience to take away from this film is that even though this happened in 1955, it's still happening now. There are still black people in this country who are attacked or even killed because they are black. And I hope that people can watch this movie and make a connection between what happened to Emmett Till and what's still happening now. Well, the advice I would have for young activists is that a simple act of courage can go a long way. You think about the young lady who videotaped what happened to George Floyd. That's what I'm talking about. Like, she did something simple, but it took a tremendous amount of bravery, and she literally changed the world just by taping what happened to George Floyd. And so we're all capable of that, and I just want everybody to be assured in the knowledge and in the confidence that they're capable of it too.
So it's told from the perspective of Mamie Till Mobley, and it really goes to that, that relationship at the start, that fruitful relationship with a mother and a son, something that you don't quite often see, especially with the story in particular, because we see this as a historical turning point for us all in the movement, but we don't think about them as people. Because at the end of the day, that's what they are, just like any of us all, any of us. So yeah, and we get to see everything that Mamie went through beyond that point of her son's murder, and this is something that not a lot of people see, or at least teach enough. Or this is an unsung woman, a black woman who was the catalyst for so much change even today. Everyone from behind the camera to on screen, especially Danielle, such a amazing, outstanding actress. Everything that she did on set only gave us more inspiration to do our part even more than what we had already done. Everybody on set, just crucial to telling this story, and I'm so amazed at the outcome that we have, and I can't wait for the world to see it. Yeah, with such heavy material like this, you just have to sit in knowing that this is something that needs to happen. This is something that would change people's lives in miraculous ways, even if it's their ideology. So I kind of always kept that in the foreground. There was no pressure for me. There was no doubt or fear. It was only the honor to be able to do this. There are a number of things, but most importantly, people will take away something unique to them. There's nothing that I can force upon someone. They can only change in ways that they allow themselves to. But of course, the education of the story, the education of Mamie Till Mobley and her journey, and the humanization of these people, because that's what they are. They're not characters. Of course, they're pivotal moments in history, but they're people at the end of the day. There is no right age to get into making change. Like I said, this is something that has just now been exposed to me in its entirety, in every minute detail, and it's changed me as a person, and I'm 15 years old, so there's no wrong time to be able to do this, and to be able to do it is such an honor in its own right.
Chinonye, Chukwu, our director, was intent on telling the story from the POV of Mamie Till, and we don't often see portrayals of this caliber. We don't often know what the experience of the black woman in the civil rights movement is. We know Rosa Parks, and there are so many others. In fact, this is the progenitor of the civil rights movement. Everybody locates themselves in the experience of Emmett, in the loss that was incurred. And everybody locates themselves in a knowing of the strength that she had to share those images of her dear loved one, Emmett, to have the strength to persist. People don't know about the challenges that she faced as a result of his death being announced, the kinds of death threats in the mail, the terrorism that was incurred by her at the time. And so this story gets to the heart of that kind of experience and the triumph over that, and the continued triumph and the legacy of what she's doing. This is 67 years in the making, and so it's wonderful to share finally. This is just something that's been a part of my personal legacy. I'm a child of Atlanta, Georgia, the civil rights legacy of that city. I went to Cascade United Methodist Church, where Reverend Dr. Lowry was the pastor, and he was a co-collaborator with Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King at the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, where I did a number of time with unsung black women in that organization and learning amongst them. And I mean, they were all influenced heavily and deeply by the legacy of Mamie Till. And so that's what we're seeing the root today.
It's hard to tell somebody what to take away. There's so many nuggets. But at the end of the day, this person who sought to just live an ordinary life was thrusted into extraordinary capacities and longer than she ever could have imagined. And so you can find yourself in that too.
We're feeling great. We're excited. We're here in Beverly Hills, and we're happy.
To tell the story about what actually happened, and I'm pretty sure there will be a part 2 because everything isn't told in this movie, but it pretty much focuses on Mamie.
Emmett was a martyred saint who lost his life over a lie, and we just want justice. We're here to support this film, and we want to show the world what happened to Emmett for no reason at all.
Every time I see it, I cry. I cry because Mamie's pain and what she wanted the world to see as far as hate, the world needs to see, and we need to focus on change, and we need to focus on reconciliation after this movie. There become more programs, more organizations that focus on racial reconciliation efforts.